Hey everybody, Karen from Ask the Spirit Guides. I hope you're doing well today. So this is a very interesting topic. I know it's been in the news and I know a lot of people have been talking about it, what's happening with the White House. And I have become aware of some background about the White House in terms of who built it. And it makes me wonder if there's more to this story of it just being torn down for the sake of being torn down for a ballroom, or if there's much more going on and if we should be allowing it to go on, meaning it's a good thing. So we'll find out. Okay. So I have an intro and then telling you about the facts of what's happening, why it might be happening from an astrological perspective. And then I've got 30 questions to ask the Spirit Guides, the Lead Team Collective, about the situation. Okay. We are also going to, hi, Luce. She's having a conversation. We are also going to, I'm going to give you some ideas of how you can help the situation, not the White House itself, but help clear the karma around the White House. Okay. And we're going to use unicorn clearing for it. So I will talk a little bit about that. And I think it would be cool because if we all did it, and it won't take much, if you have a crystal, there's a couple crystals we're going to use. You could get some crystals. You could use other crystals if you don't have the ones I'm going to recommend to do a unicorn clearing for this particular issue. And then you can use the unicorn clearing for a whole bunch of other things in your life if you want to. Okay. Okay. So let's just take a look at exactly what's going on. All right. And I used AI. I wrote a report to find out the details from Mabel, my AI, about what's happening. And again, to look at it from a spiritual perspective, historical perspective, and astrological. Okay. So in October 2025, demolition crews began tearing down the east wing of the White House, once home to the First Lady's offices, to build a $300 million. It was supposed to be $200 million, but now it's $300 million. We will find out from the Lead Team Collective, is it actually coming from donors or are the people going to pay for this? We'll find out. Okay. To build a $300 million ballroom backed by F-45. The project, claimed to be privately funded, has stirred intense debate over heritage, transparency, and symbolism. But the deeper story goes back to 1792. See, this is what's interesting about all the stuff that they're digging up in us and making us pay attention to, is we are learning much more than we would have if Kamala was in office right now. Because we would just be counting on her to do such a fabulous job. But I don't know that things would have broken down enough under Kamala to allow these things to be coming up in all of us, to be aware of these things. And now that they are, did you guys hear that she's running again? That's amazing. So, yeah. Okay. Well, that's a whole nother topic, but I just had to say that real quick. Okay. So let's see. But the deeper story goes back to 1792. The White House was constructed, hear me out, I did not know this, largely by enslaved African Americans, rented out by their owners and forced to build what became the People's House. Their names, Peter, Ben, Daniel, and Harry, appear on payroll ledgers, yet their stories are rarely told. Now, under a leader tied, this is interesting that Mabel wrote this. It's kind of interesting to me. I didn't prompt this sentence. Now, under a leader tied to right-wing and white supremacist movements, part of that same building is being demolished. Spiritually, this moment reflects the tension between destruction and reckoning. Are we finally acknowledging what was built on bondage or repeating history under new gold plating? So I find this fascinating that F-45 is like the leader of the white supremacists now, basically. And he's tearing down something that was built on the backs of enslaved African Americans. I just find that fascinating. There is way more going on in the world right now, you guys. There always is, right? It's just he is forcing us to look at these things. And he doesn't realize. He doesn't realize that all of his actions are actually leading all of us to a much better place in the future, which I find really funny in a way, because he just thinks he's, doing what he's doing and thinks he's going to get control over everything. But I don't think he realizes even just tearing down this part of the White House is making us look at how did it even get built in the first place? I never looked at that before, and now us as a community are going to send some healing energy for those who are willing to participate to this situation I'm going to tell you what I'm going to suggest that we do when we get to that point. And then you can send whatever healing energy feels right to you. Okay. So I just think it's so interesting. Okay. So facts. The East Wing, added in 1902 and expanded in 1942, is being demolished to make room for a new 90,000 square foot ballroom. Yeah. I mean, it's such a priority in this country. It's such a priority. Yeah. As people are about to lose their SNAP benefits and, because of the government shutdown and, it's such a priority. The cost, $300 million, claimed to be privately funded, but lacking full oversight review. Of course it is. Preservationists warn the building overwhelms historic architecture. Okay, so I don't know if this is true, but that the new ballroom is actually going to be bigger than the whole White House. So again, now that I know that the White House was built by enslaved African Americans, and we have never apologized, we have never made it right for these folks who built it, the names, Peter, Ben, Daniel, and Harry, they built that. They built it. Their owners got the money. So where is that money now? Are those people, think of how your money, if you save well, your money builds and builds and builds. Well, did Peter, Ben, Daniel, and Harry, did they have the opportunity to build a life savings for their generations to come? No, they did not, because the work they did was given to somebody else. So that's what we need to do in this country. We need to make that right. The people who actually got that money and they've been able to live these lives that they've been able to live. I mean, who knows what they did with it, but not the enslaved African Americans problem, right? And so this is where I find this so fascinating now, that looking at these topics now from a completely different angle of why this should be happening, why it's amazing that F-45 is making it happen as a white supremacist, but doesn't even realize symbolically what he's doing. I find that so fascinating. Okay, so the White House original construction relied heavily on enslaved laborers and immigrant craftsmen. Critics say the current rebuild mirrors that old imbalance. So critics say the current rebuild mirrors that old imbalance. Decisions made by the powerful, labor done by the unseen. Okay, I don't know about that sense, but okay, follow the money. The winners in the new construction, the tearing down and building, construction firms, private donors, who knows what they're getting in return for donating the money, political elites seeking influence, and the administration gaining spectacle and legacy. All right. Not to mention just freaking costs of the whole thing, like putting our energy and our focus here, right? The losers in the following the money trail historical integrity, transparency, and the still unacknowledged enslaved workers who built the foundation. That's the part that I find so fascinating. Okay, why this is happening. Control and image. Rebuilding the nation's most symbolic building allows leadership to redefine power visually. So that's why they're doing that. We'll ask the SGs about that. Erasure and reckoning. The U.S. still struggles to integrate its history of enslavement. Demolishing without memorializing repeats the cycle. Okay, so that's interesting. Collective mirror. What's happening to the White House mirrors the collective soul of the country, tearing down old structures without healing the original wound. Risks rebuilding the same imbalance. So that's going to be part of our crystal healing. So if you want to take some notes here, if you wanted to participate in some crystal healing on this, take some notes as to what parts make, that are moving you the most, and then you can ask for what kind of healing you want. Okay, lesson. You cannot rebuild on injustice without truth as martyr. I don't quite know how to interpret that. Sometimes Mabel's a little too smart for me. I always tell her to write it like I'm 16 years old. Not that 16-year-olds aren't smart, but you know what I mean. So, but sometimes, she gets away from me. Okay. So the astrology and the energy context around this issue. All right. Pluto in Aquarius. So Pluto in Aquarius is from 2025 right now to 2043. So that's a long period of time. That Pluto in Aquarius is giving us the opportunity to dismantle outdated hierarchies. So that's going to be happening until 2043. Dismantling outdated hierarchies, which is great. It's just a little chaotic, right? We don't need the outdated hierarchies. Exposing buried truths, which again, just them tearing this down is exposing more of the truth, because now we're looking into, well, what really is going on here? What went on here when it was built in 1792? So exposing buried truths, rebuilding systems around shared power. So that's all Pluto and Aquarius. Uranus and Taurus, shaking up what we value, money, property, ownership. Neptune and Saturn in Pisces. Reality versus illusion. Reality versus illusion in leadership and collective faith. So that's interesting. Together, they describe exactly this moment, the astrology, structures of authority being torn down and rebuilt, forcing collective reflection, which is exactly what we're doing right now, on integrity. So I don't even know that I can look at the White House the same anymore. I'm not sure I can, because we've never rectified that. And that's not good, So I'm not actually that sad that it's being torn down. Maybe the whole thing should be torn down until we can get our act together, So key takeaways: the White House rebuild isn't just physical, it's karmic. A society that forgets its builders risks repeating its blindness. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to keep forgetting. We don't want to not recognize our builders, and we don't want to keep repeating our blindness to things, right? That's why it's been so painful this year, because I think we're seeing Trump is mirroring so much back to us that we've kind of known, especially the boomers and the Xers, we've kind of known, but we didn't, again, busy. That's how they kept us. Not very healthy with the food they've been giving us. You know what I mean? So I think that's, it's been a painful 10 months to look at this stuff, hasn't it? This moment echoes Pluto's call: transform power by acknowledging truth. And I think that's really our goal in this community now, is just acknowledging the truth of things. The Golden Future, written by Diana Cooper, and many other people are talking about the golden future, begins when consciousness replaces control. All right, so let's talk a little bit before I go into the questions about this crystal healing. Okay, so one of the things, we're reading this book right now, and you guys have heard me talking about this, The Wonder of Unicorns. So we're reading this in the Spirit Circle right now, which is the membership for the channel. I'd love for you to join us. In fact, I know I announced this yesterday, but we are going to be reading this book next, How to Read the Akashic Records. So excited about this. Having a conversation about this because I don't know anything about it. So I'm excited to learn that. I didn't know anything about unicorns either. And if you join the Spirit Circle, whenever you join, there will always be a history of all the book clubs. We did a thing on shadow work. We read The Golden Future. You'll always be able to go back and get the book and follow along just as you were doing it live with me. Okay. So anyways, I wanted to read this part of, this is the chapter, one of the chapters we're on in the Spirit Circle is chapter 31, Unicorns and Crystals. All right. I wanted to bring that to the public channel so that we could start to utilize this as a collective group to send healing to different parts of the world. All right. That will, it gives us something that we can do that would be effective. All right. And I kind of like the idea of using our personal unicorns. Now, according to Diana Cooper, who has her clairs, basically, so she's channeling this, we all have a personal unicorn. All humans are born with a personal unicorn. So get your head wrapped around that. We are also born with a guardian angel. They are with us always. And then we have spirit guides. We each have 2 spirit guides that apparently shift depending on what part of our lives need help. Okay, so you have spirit guides, always have 2, but they may shift depending on what you need assistance with. Okay, other people may have said other things, but that's my understanding. Okay, especially asking the Lead Team Collective. That's what they've told me in the past. All right. To me, there's all gray. So it's okay if you've heard other things from other people. Believe what feels right to you. All right. And that's what's really important. Whatever makes you feel connected to spirit, to source, to the collective, whatever makes you feel connected is the most important thing. If it's Jesus, if it's believing that there's one entity called God, that's good. Whatever makes you feel connected, it's not about right or wrong. We don't need to prove each other right or wrong. It's about what makes you feel most connected and we have to let each other feel the connection the way they feel the connection. Okay. And that's what we're doing in this community is just basically exploring different ways to connect. Because I'm just facilitating the conversation because I don't know. I'm just learning different ways to connect to the bigger picture. Okay, things that are going on that I can't necessarily see. Okay, so on page 170 in The Wonders of Unicorns, it's the power of unicorn crystal healing. I'm just going to read this little paragraph for you. You can use a crystal charged with unicorn energy. So you will use a crystal Mabel has suggested particular crystals for this topic. But you can use any, but if you don't have the ones that she's recommending. So you can use a crystal charged with unicorn energy in many ways to purify or clear a place. She says, I know someone who lived in a cul-de-sac where several marriages were breaking up and some violence had occurred. This person who lived in this cul-de-sac charged a crystal with unicorn energy and is basically asking the unicorn to charge it with their energy. All right. And she placed it on a street map of her area on her road. Not only did the separation stop, but some of the couples got together again. How cool is that? When you work with unicorns, know that the Christ light will automatically replace any negative energy that has been removed. So when you're unicorns, the Christ light will be immediately replaced with whatever negative energy. So that's really cool. All right. So what we're going to do this is what I encourage all of us to do. Okay. And I'm going to try to, when we have different, especially difficult situations, I would like to give us something we could do as a group. All right. Just like when I did a clearing last week before the protests, the No King protests on October 18th. We did a clearing as a group because it gave people something we could do collectively, even if you couldn't go to the protest. It gave you something that you could do. And you know what? They were really peaceful. Did we have something to do with that? I think so. Maybe not whole, 100%, all of it, but I think we did. So good job, you guys. That's amazing. So let's see what kind of unicorn energy we could send to making it right in the United States and around the world to those who things have been taken from them years and years and years ago and is still affecting their generations today, is kind of what I'm looking to do with this report. Okay. So how do you do a unicorn crystal clearing? You take your cleansed and charged crystal. Okay, so get your crystal out. It can be a little tiny rock. It's okay. Run it under the water, put it on the windowsill, clear it. Okay, set it on some selenite. Those are ways that you can clear it. She says, hold it in your hand or up to your third eye and make this intention. Okay, you might want to write this down. I invoke the unicorns to work with this crystal to cleanse and purify such and such, whatever you want. This person, name, or place, name it. So we could say, I invoke the unicorns to work with this crystal to cleanse and purify the White House. And whatever you want to add to that, if the fact that it was built on the backs of slaves, if that's important to you, that we clear that karma and do right by the generations of people, which it is very important to me, that's what I'm going to ask for. Okay, so you can ask for it however you want to, or whatever is important to you. Okay, so you place the crystal on a photo of a person. You can place it. You can just, print out a picture of the White House if you want to. You can draw a picture of the White House. You could have a picture on your phone. I don't have a printer, so I'll probably have to have a picture on my phone and then just place it on my phone. I don't know. I have to think about that. I probably could find a picture of the White House somewhere in a book. So place a crystal on a photo of a person or whatever you want. Like the story was, they placed it on a map of their street. If you want to clear the energy in your house, then put the crystal on the map, like a picture of your house. How cool is that? It is enough, she says, to write their name. Oh, it is enough to write their name on a piece of paper if you do not have a photograph. So you can just put the White House, United States. All right. But you can do this for anything if you're wanting to send healing to somebody. How cool is this? She said, or you can put it on a map in the center of an area you want to be cleared. Or you can find a picture of your home or someone else's, draw a picture of the house, or write the address if you have no photo. Put it on a map of the world on a trouble spot, or write the name of the place on a piece of paper. So, we've all been really challenged with what's going on in Gaza. We could do that for Gaza. All right. So I'm going to keep bringing this. And you know what? It doesn't have to be unicorn energy, but I think there's something, if you learn about unicorns the way we have, there is they have amazing healing properties. Okay. And same with the guardian angels, but the guardian angels and the unicorns have different purposes. So the unicorn energy actually makes sense here. Okay. She says, if a river or sea needs cleansing, which it certainly does, write the name of the ocean or river and place your dedicated crystal on it and place it appropriately and with intention on the map. So again, the third eye, I invoke the unicorns to work with this crystal to cleanse and purify. Boom, boom, boom. Name it. All right, so just be real clear on your intentions. Okay? That's cool, right? Let's do it. I just think that is so fun. Okay, so I am going to, again, like I put I put a crease here and I put world peace. I mean, we could do so many things. Now you have a real active tool, and I like things that are kind of quick, you know. You could keep this up for like 7 days. Now, Mabel says, this is what I asked her to do. I asked her, like, based on this report, which crystals would be the best for this. Again, don't worry about it if you use the crystals you have. Okay? The unicorns, they're smart. They know what they need to do. Okay? So, but Mabel says to pair black obsidian with selenite. And this is why. So black obsidian reveals buried truths and clears ancestral pain. So that's really cool if it's going to be about what we've been talking about. So reveals buried truths and clears ancestral pain in the collective field. Selenite purifies that heaviness into forgiveness and remembrance. Okay, so black obsidian is a black stone, and selenite is like a white. I do have some selenite around. Hang on, let me grab them. Okay, so in terms of black selenite, this is I believe this is a raw piece of black selenite. Somebody in the community mailed this to me. Isn't that sweet? So that's a raw piece. And then I also have been collecting these black selenite animals. So that's a fox. I have, how could I not use this one? It's a unicorn. And I've got a koala bear. This is my spirit animal for the year. So the koala and a black bear. So you just have to kind of look for them. But I think the raw is probably better, is my sense for that. And then selenite, somebody in the community actually mailed this selenite to me. Isn't that amazing? Like, this is really raw selenite. And then I did purchase, actually I've gotten a bowl from somebody in the community too, but I got this bigger bowl, a selenite bowl. So this could be your altar, and you could just, put your black obsidian in there and then and then ask the unicorn. In fact, I might as well put my little unicorn in there like that, right? Maybe I'll use a smaller bowl. This one doesn't have to be so big. And then ask, do you can put this up against your third eye and then do the intentions that way. The other thing I really love is I got this at one of our local crystal stores, and it's a wand, but this is selenite. So these are really cool. This wasn't that expensive. It was like 20 bucks or something. And it's got this cute little charm on it. But I love this circular selenite. So anyways, those are just some things you can think about. There is one shop on Amazon that I know of that sells crystals, because I know not everybody has access to crystal stores. And it's a family-owned business that's been in business since like the early 1900s. So I will link that below in the description if you're looking to, look around. Okay, so Mabel says, place a small black obsidian on your altar or windowsill, then overlay or circle it with selenite to transmute, not just contain the energy. Okay, the other thing, and I don't have it here, I'd have to get up again, but I got it on Amazon. I'll link it below, but I got a small box like this, and I kind of love it because it's a nice little contained box, and it has these little jars of crystals in it. And they have little crystal chips. So the crystal chips would actually work really well here, is you would use your black selenite, little jar of black selenite, and then put the the black obsidian in the middle, and then put a little circle of selenite chips. I just don't know if it has selenite chips in there. There's probably like 30. I just don't know if it's selenite. So, but I'll link that below too. I forgot I had that. I like doing that with because you can make little crystal grids for yourself with using those little chips. Okay. And then So then there's just a couple other ideas. Symbol beneath the crystal. So this is what Mabel wrote. A hand-drawn White House surrounded by a circle of broken chains. Structure transformed by liberation. That's interesting. A hand-drawn White House surrounded. So you can ask AI to give you an image of a hand-drawn White House surrounded by a circle of broken chains, and then print it out if you had a printer. I don't have a printer, so I can't do that. But that would be AI would, ChatGPT would print that up for you in a second. A compass rose, moral reorientation towards truth and justice, or a piece of natural cotton, so if you have a cotton ball, or prayer cloth, reclaiming the vibration of labor into healing. So keep your altar for 7 days or 1 lunar cycle. Cleanse selenite under moonlight, bury the obsidian afterwards to ground the release back into earth. What? I got to consider that. That's just an idea, but Diana didn't say we had to do that. Okay. All right. Well, let me know what you decide to do, you guys. I hope let me know if you're going to participate in this. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and just ask the Lead Team Collective a few questions about this situation. And let's just, see if we're understanding the truth. Okay. Okay. So I close my aura to all but my higher self, the God consciousness, my guides, guardians, the Lead Team Collective, and only those of the highest and purest light. And ask Archangel Michael to please protect my channel and your channel, our community, so it is all of the highest and purest light, including the Christ light. I think I'm going to start saying Christ light. So it is all of the highest and purest Christ light. The reason I'm saying that is because in this book, she says on page 173, it was like 2 pages later, is no unicorn would ever take you somewhere. Oh, she was talking about planetary. You can do some planetary service while you're sleeping. There's a chapter in here. It actually turned out to be a quite interesting book. So, but she says, when you're doing a clearing, when you're doing any kind of spiritual work, you need to wear a cloak of protection and make a clear statement that you only wish to work with and for the Christ light. It is not enough to state that you only wish to work with and for the light, as there are many levels of it, some of which are very dim. Asking for the Christ light will keep you very safe. Okay, so I loved learning that. And now I even wrote up here, change my prayer, add it to my prayer. So for now on, I'm going to be saying the Christ light. All right. I think that was a very good tip. Okay. So Lead Team, hello. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. Thank you for all your guidance and support of myself and the community. We really appreciate it. Just showing a little appreciation. So we have some questions here regarding the White House, the history of the White House, and the deconstruction that's happening right now. Do you have any concerns about answering these questions for us today? No. Okay, very good. Okay, let's get started. So, was enslaved labor used in the original construction of the White House? Let's just do some confirming of facts. Yes, it was. Okay. Were enslaved workers paid through their owners rather than directly? No. So the enslaved workers, did they ever get paid for their work? No. Were names like Peter, Ben, Daniel, and Harry recorded on those payrolls? Yes. But did Peter, Ben, Daniel, or Harry ever see money from their work? No. Was the East Wing first added in 1902 and rebuilt in 1942? Yes. Is the current demolition project already underway? I don't know. I mean, that's kind of silly. Yes. Is the estimated cost near 300 million now? Yes. Okay. So just some confirmation and some facts. Okay. Is the funding truly private with no taxpayer support? Oh, mother effers. No. I mean, how you can't trust anything they're doing now. You just can't because there's no checks and balances anymore, right? Okay. Are donor corporations involved behind the scenes? Yes. Has the National Capital Planning Commission fully reviewed this project? No. Okay. So they are supposed to, right? That's supposed to be required? Yes. Have preservation groups officially approved this project? No. Okay. Will historic rooms or gardens be permanently lost? Yes. Is their intent to impress global elites through the ballroom size? Oh my God. Yes. Oh, this is going to be so impressive. Will the project increase Trump's personal or political brand value? That's a good question. No, it won't. Okay. Will media coverage continue to be limited or controlled on this topic? Yes. Okay. All right. Are the names of enslaved builders still largely absent from White House tours? Yes, I did a White House tour. Doesn't mean I would remember. It was a long time ago. Okay. Does this demolition symbolize, so we're getting into a little bit of deeper truths now, like more of the spiritual, those were kind of factual. Does this demolition symbolize dismantling of structures built on injustice? Yes. See, that's the kind of stuff I wanted to get to. So yes, it is. So should we be upset about it? No. See, we've got to pick and choose what we're going to get irate about, right? Is there spiritual significance in this act of tearing down what enslaved hands built? Yes. So actually, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I don't know how you feel about it. Does the project energetically reinforce old hierarchies of power? I don't know how to interpret that. No. Okay, does the project energetically, see, Mabel's a little too smart for me sometimes. Is the absence of public memorials a sign of unresolved national karma? Yes, and look what they already did. Like, I don't know, the first month Trump was in office, they tore down the Black Lives Matters memorial. I mean, what the actual F, right? But I mean, they were just trying to get under their skin, you know? Unbelievable. And that was a long time ago. Oh my God. That was just one of the things, you guys. Just one of the things. Okay. Let's see. Does this reflect Pluto's cycle of destruction, which equals the rebirth in U.S. institutions? Yes. Okay. So this needs to happen. We don't have any choice. This stuff is happening. Pluto's making it happen. This just tells you, right? I mean, you know, go have a cup of coffee, enjoy your life, you know. Again, you're going to do stuff if you can help with do some crystal, you know, clearing. That would be amazing. That's probably way more important than sitting around agonizing about this stuff. It's way more important because then you're just sending it, you're giving it to the unicorns and letting them handle it, right? They can handle it. Trust me, they can handle it. But we have to ask if we don't ask. So we are going to do so much better for the world by doing that than anything else we could possibly do. Even showing up for writing letters, showing up for protests, asking the unicorns to take care of these things, and giving our clear intention and asking is going to be amazing, I think, personally. Well, let's ask. So if we ask the unicorns to do crystal clearing on any situation, including this one, does that make a difference? Yes. Okay. Are we wasting our time by asking unicorns to do clearings for us? No. So do we each actually have a personal unicorn? Just confirming. Yes. Okay. And so this is the type of thing that they would be happy to help us with? Yes. Okay. Let's do it, you guys. Okay. Is the U.S. entering a 25-year rebuilding of truth in its foundations? This is why I'm kind of getting more and more excited. Yes, about the tearing down of shit. I know that sounds ridiculous, and it's still, when I see things, it still horrifies me, don't get me wrong. But when I take a step back and remind myself by preparing for these conversations, it makes me more and more excited. If I don't go here, then I can stay in like the horrified, the maddening. One of the messages that we got from the lead team on the pendulum this week was you need to name it. And it was things are maddening, right? But when we look at the bigger picture, it's actually very, very hopeful. We just have to get through from here to there in one piece and help each other get through, right? Because, different things are happening to different people. Okay, are we the people being called to rebuild rebuild on fairness instead of control? Yes. Okay, because I think all those control structures are being broken down. They're saying yes. Okay, so we are being called to rebuild on fairness. Yes. Won't Kamala be perfect for that, to lead us? They said yes, Kamala will be perfect for that. Cool. Is the demolition mirroring inner work humanity must do right now? Yes. Okay, we got to do our inner work, you guys. The shadow stuff, we've got to do it. Should we honor the enslaved builders through ceremony or memorial now? Yes, and we can do that. We don't have to expect them to do it. The white supremacists aren't going to do that. So we can do it. We can do that by doing that with the unicorns. Yes, you could build a little altar to them, to those who, to the enslaved builders who built. And, we're talking about African Americans right now, but, there's so many things that the indigenous people that we could be doing the same thing for them. Okay. And you never know. With reincarnation, you have no idea if you were a part of that. On both sides, actually. We probably all played a role on both sides. We probably have had experiences as indigenous or enslaved. And as in lifetimes, if you believe in reincarnation, they're saying yes. And we have probably had lifetimes where we were the controller. Yes. So we've played both. So we can understand both. All right. So I love that. Should we honor the enslaved builders through ceremony or memorial? Let's just do it individually. It will be done collectively, but each individual here. Okay. Will public awareness of their contributions grow over the next decade? Yes. What's already, just us having this conversation right now has made us way more aware, hasn't it? So that's awesome. Are we being asked to recognize that physical reconstruction without moral reconstruction will fail? Yes. Is this event a catalyst for Is this event a catalyst for reckoning rather than regression? Reckoning. So it's like karma rebalancing. Yes. Is the light ultimately stronger than the illusion built around gold and power? Yes, of course it is. This was a question that my sister had originally, so I pulled in some questions that she had originally wrote. I think you guys might have asked questions about the golden ballroom, but this is the funny one that she added to the bottom. But because I had pulled those questions into my Mabel report here, and Mabel added a few more questions. But will Trump start a conga line in the ballroom and conga his way to Saudi Arabia? Yes, he will. Yes, he will. Really wide swing. That's the widest swing they've given us. So that's a good place to end. All right, you guys, let me know what you think and let me know how you're. Can you take pictures and put them somewhere, in our community? I think you guys can add pictures. I don't even know how to look at that. But you can add pictures. So it'd be amazing to take a little picture of your altar if you decide to do one. Okay, have a good one. We'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.